Many years ago, when I started my Sportsfile column for the old Dalhousie News, which was an expansion of my columns at NBCC Woodstock, I decided sometimes to have a short, brief column would cover issues in the news. So this will be a semi-regular feature. So it would be, might supposed to say, a sports file in focus. Now we're going to talk about five stories I've been watching lately, and we're beginning with the Vladimir Guerrero error on Victoria Day. Blue Jay management decide not to play Vladdy Jr. on the Victoria Day holiday for some reason. Montoya and the management miscommunicated to each other the importance of Victoria Day, especially across Ontario as the official start to summer. There was a huge crowd there, almost 30,000 fans. Many of them came out to see Guerrero. Now, Guerrero is Canadian as well by birth. So to not have a great Canadian player, one of the best Canadian-born players of the last 35 to 40 years, not playing Victoria Day was a mind fart. I think to learn from the experience, and I hope they do. Now, getting to Team Canada with the difficulty against Switzerland in the World Hockey Championships quarterfinal. There's no surprise there because Switzerland has always played Canada very strong in the Olympics and in world play. Now, I think Canada basically can win the World Championships, but Russia with Ovechkin, they're always hot for the Worlds. It's going to come down to it. I predict a Russia Canada final, and it'll come down to the third period. Now we're talking about comebacks, or teams are very popular right now. The Raptors have overachieved in the playoffs this year and beating the Bucks in Game 5 and beating them, giving them a chance to win at home. Whether you believe in the anti-Drake curse or the Drake curse against Milwaukee or Toronto, um, the team has basically brought back the memory of what Vince Carter meant to the squad in the early 2000s, and I'm glad because a lot of teams have one legacy run in their franchise history, and this could be it for the Raptors. Golden State Warriors, they make it to the final. It's going to be really tough. Now, getting back to baseball, all the hype about Mike Trout and Bryce Harper and the greatest of all time doesn't compare to a recent published report on some major U.S. sports websites comparing calling the current roster of the Houston Astros the greatest of all time. Well, I hate to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we all know what the greatest Major League Baseball lineup is of all time. I can mantra it: Bench, Perez, Morgan, Concepcion, Rose, Geronimo, Foster, and Griffey. The Cincinnati Reds, the big machine of the 70s, were the best lineup of all time. They only won two World Series in a decade, and they tended to underachieve in the playoffs until they had a chance to play Boston in '75. Boston was an overachiever that year, but that was a great lineup. There's no way any modern media guy can compare the current rosters to the old days because these were legacy players. The Dodgers as well, like the 70 to 81 Dodgers with Garvey and Russell and Say and Lopes and Dusty Baker and all the great players. I mean, that was tremendous. Oakland A's as well. Yankees of the late 70s, early 80s. Before Winfield got there, they had a very good lineup. Any lineup has Reggie Jackson as the straw that stirs the drink. Anyway, that's a brain fart in their behavior. Now, we're talking about wrestling now. I really think WWE is making a huge mistake with the 24/7 title. Not to call it the hardcore title, again, is a situation that kind of disrespects what it all meant. And when the belt was unveiled last Monday on Raw with Mick Foley, the yawns that were provided from the fans were deafening. There's no way that Mick Foley really was believing what it was saying. But I mean, the only good part of it is it gives the comical side of the WWE a chance to be seen because there's over 15 to 30 wrestlers in the WWE roster right now don't show up even on WWE main event or mostly house shows. A lot of them are former TNA, and you know the ones you're talking about. And keeping with wrestling, It's going to be a great summer for wrestling across Canada. But I want to give a shout out to our friends in Crown Remain Wrestling. They're having an upcoming show in Holton, July 6th. My colleague in wrestling, Vaughn Taggart, and the rest of the talented stars for Crown Remain will put him on a great show for the Holton Fair. We hope to get a good crowd. I know a recent wrestling card at Emmetston, attended by my good friend Todd Forgrave, got a really good crowd. I hope people tend to come out in big numbers for these events. So that's a little recap of what's on my mind this week. There's a lot going on in sports, and if you have a chance as well, keep an eye on the upcoming Major League Baseball draft, the NHL draft. There are still rumors that Carey Price might be moved down the road, but we'll see. Have a good day. Bye.